Morning, everybody. It's about 9 a.m. and it's Monday. I decided to do a few more videos this week. Just get back into things. Just wanted to thank you guys so much for all your kind messages and feedback regarding my last video showing the losses that happened. That was a tough video to make, and unfortunately, things happened and mistakes were made. But I've had a little bit of time to recuperate. But unfortunately, some bad stuff, other bad stuff happened over the weekend. My poor little cat, 8 years old, 22 pounds, really cute, British short hair. He had to be taken to the ER for a UTI, and it's blocking his urinary tract, and has had to be on very close watch. And that was on Friday. And then again happened on Sunday night, Sunday morning, and we had to take him back in for the same thing. We have a bill now of about $6,000 because of this. Now a lot of you guys may think that that's really expensive for a pet, and the actual ER told us that typically people don't hold on this long, where the price gets too high and they end up putting their animals down. My wife and I, we don't want to do that yet. And we can afford a little bit of this, and we do have insurance, so we're hoping that will cover, some of it. But he said that there may be a surgery in the future, so it's hard. And you know how surgery is. I mean, surgery for a pet or for a human, they're always really expensive, no matter what it is. And so that would be another additional 10 to 15,000. So really, some really big, unfortunate decisions are maybe going to be made with our poor cat named Hugh. Such a cute little guy, very friendly, lovable, sleeps on his back like a dog, acts like a dog, just loves people, and loves to be a pillow at night that you can lay on him. It's just a great cat. And so it's been even difficult dealing with that, because I know that we have a $6,000 bill, and it makes you really want to take more emotional trades on my personal account. Maybe the hopes that I can make a $10,000 trade to save my cat's life, because when the price keeps adding up, it's going to be harder and harder to accommodate the cost involved in that, and it's just awful thinking about that kind of stuff. So a bad week turned much darker because of my poor cat. So in the meantime, I have, since the markets have opened up, I have made some trades. I made about $1,500 back. It was 15% of the 20% loss that I made. So I'm only down 5% now from my previous from Friday before the news, or from my trading on Friday. I've made some small trades, mostly long positions. Did one at the opening of the week, small scalp. Then a expert advisor trade, which was an inside candle. So you can see the entry 1 and the entry 2 20 pips later, and then the shoot back down, took about 60 pips profit there. So that was a good trade. And then I actually entered on the 15-minute time frame, took a manual trade, inside candle, say the same thing, and you'll see the inside candles are actually still accurate on smaller, on lower time frames. And this one was taken on the 15-minute time frame. Typically, when I do take inside candle setups on the 15 and 5-minute time frame, I do take usually only 10 to 15 pips profit. And you can see this one went against me pretty fast. The first position went down directly right after. Pushed down. I waited for not 20 pips. I waited for another indication of price reversal, or a pullback, and then I got an inside candle set up on the 5-minute time frame, and that ended up being about 25 pips later, and then it shot up from there, and it's continued to move up. So you can see that the inside candle is a powerful tool, even on the smaller time frame, and it gives you a hint into what may take place in the near future. And the inside candle on the 5-minute time frame also turned into an inside candle in the 15-minute. So I was able to catch the position slightly earlier, but it actually would have been a little bit better if I took it on the 15-minute time frame in this case, but it still worked out very well, and I came out with a decent profit to help with my recuperating, with the recovering of my account. So 15% is pretty good in like 24 hours or less than. And so I've calmed down on my personal account because I am very close now, and I likely won't be taking many other manual trades unless I see a really good opportunity. Okay, so Robert's account. Now, I told you guys all about the issues that happened, why I closed this trade out here, why this loss happened, that this was a very poorly taken position. It was an emotional trade. I didn't like it. I don't like taking emotional trades. I haven't done it very often. This was a preventative loss here, and this is an emotional trade during the Theresa May's speech. And I didn't have a very good assessment of the speech. Although I wanted to trade it, I kept going back and forth of how I wanted to trade it, and switched from going long to going short in a very quick amount of time. I changed from going long to short only 3 hours before the speech happened, and it was a decent change in assessment, but it was very late. And like I said, the Canadian dollar retail news also hurt me real big right before the speech even came out, and that shot up, going against me. And so then when the speech happened, it pushed back down, and it went back up. So a lot of whipsaw action going on. Not a good trade, and lesson learned on making sure that I have a good assessment of the trades that I'm taking before taking them. Alright, so the current action on the pound is a gap in the market, recovery of the gap, and an extending, and then a push back down. So a similar thing that's happening right now. And I actually took a small trade on the gap. Now, Trader's Way actually closed a little bit earlier, and so they had a larger gap that happened, and I took a small buy of only about 10 pips or so. And that trade closed out profitable. Now the gap was larger on that Trader's Way because of the closing of the market at that broker earlier. But 10 minutes before the news happened, a 80 pip drop happened. Freaked everybody out. There was a lot of volatility right until the closing of the weekend, and so I expected this was the market was going to open on a lower gap. And if you guys know how gaps work, a lot of times they are recovered, and in this case it was. So the inside candle set up here was taken on Robert's account, and you can see that that's my email, and here, hold on a second. Okay, it's right here. You can see the small recovery here, and 0.29%, $341. And then you can see what we're down for the month still. Sorry, I got something in my throat this morning. So 6.39% down. That's not bad. I can actually make that back in about 2 months, maybe less than 2 months' time. So I'm not too worried. And the damage was actually a lot smaller than I thought. It's just really unfortunate because I had such a big positive gap that happened, and I just had to kind of give that all up. So that kind of hurts a lot. And it did bug Robert a bit because his account was at, if you look at the balance, it was at $138,000 at one point. When you go back to September 1st, you'll see that it was at 128, and we're only at 119 now. So the loss isn't too bad to take. So I'm happy that I had that positive gap, because this would have been much different of a trade. I don't know if I would have traded it differently without that positive gap that I had back last week. But it's hard to say how that change, without that change, what I would have done on this potential loss. Would I cut it shorter? Would I have waited longer? I don't know. Okay, so Robert I had an hour conversation with Robert just yesterday about the plan moving forward. The plan is going to stay at a 6% cutoff for my expert advisor. And that's going to go on the OANDA account, so the 119,000. and it's going to go for my personal account as well. But since I'm using higher risk, 4 times higher risk on my personal account, that means that a 5%, or well, let's say that we're going to do a 5% cutoff on Robert's account instead of 6. So 5% cutoff, just for the easier math. 5% cutoff would be 20% cutoff on my account, and and we do it that way. So 20% is not too bad. It's still manageable, but it also allows me to make upwards of about 20% per month as well. And that's how I trade this account, using the leverage that it is at Trader's Way. And I still find it to be safe and secure, but I won't use more risk than that. 20% just gets a little bit obscene. So yeah, 20% cutoff, and I guess it will be 24% with the if I use it at 6% loss cutoff on Robert's account. So he's actually asked me, is there a faster way to recover the losses that happened? Because I want to get back to 139 or 138K as soon as possible. He's like, I know that may sound emotional, and I'm asking you to potentially take an emotional trade here. And I told him I don't really like making trades out of nothing. So I'm not going to take a manual position based on technical analysis. I'm only going to take a manual position on your account if it's something, if it's a news statement, something that I'm a little bit more sure about. I wasn't sure about Theresa May's speech, at least not until the last second. And it still didn't go very well because of my inconsistencies with that. So he asked me, well, what would you trade? I said, well, typically, I've made some decent calls in the last, since December of 2016. I made a trade on the FOMC statement right before the news came out of it going down, and made 160 pips very quickly. I also made some later assessments of FOMC statements, and also Euro fundamental news as well. And I think there was about 5 situations or news events that I have predicted correctly in the past 5. Now, you could say that I can't really include this one here. But my initial assessment of it, which was like 3 hours before, was down. Yeah, like I said before, I missed the retail news, and it messed this whole trade up. But my initial assessment of it was correct, even though it was very late, which is I still consider dangerous in an emotional trade setup there. But the assessments that I've made on a lot of these events have been good. And I don't make it on every single one. It's just the ones that I have a better idea and am more sure about. So what am I talking about here? And on Wednesday, I'm looking at the New Zealand cash rate, official cash rate. Happens at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm looking at potentially trading this statement on a manual position. I would do 10 lots on Robert's account. I would likely do 1 to maybe 2 lots on my account, on my personal account. But I'm not really sure if I'm going to be trading it on my personal account yet. On a Robert's account, yes, I would potentially trade it. And I say potentially because I'm not really sure yet. If you look at the news, recent news, you'll see that New Zealand's largest bank just announced that they feel that the economy in New Zealand is cooling down, and their assessment is that more interest rates drops are in the future, whether it's near the near future or longer term. They don't think that the 1.75% rate is going to hold. It's going to need to be lowered. If you see that the rate has been steadily going down since April of 2015, and it's been since November of 2016 that the same 1.75% has been steadily consistent. But I'm not trying to make a call that they're going to lower this rate. That would be just a really hard prediction. But even if they keep it the same at 1.75%, the actual result, I still find that the New Zealand dollar is going to fall, because the news has said that, if you read the articles out there, you'll see that the economy is not that strong right now in New Zealand, and it is projected to continue to weaken. So keeping the rate the same at 1.75% is not good enough for the New Zealand dollar to fall, to not fall. So even if the rate is the same, I predict that the New Zealand dollar will fall if they have a surprise change and it goes down to 1.5%. Then it will fall even more. So I don't see any kind of positive reaction to the cash rate yet, and I don't foresee any of that happening. Now, if you look at the New Zealand dollar, and you see what's happened recently. So since the opening of the weekend, let's see if I can actually find where it was. Yeah, it's the opening. We go to the 1 hour. Okay, so I'm just trying to find the opening right there. That was the closing. So there's a bit of a whipsaw action here, and then it fell right after. And it was probably, yeah, there's the gap. So there's probably in reaction to the New Zealand's largest bank, where it jumped down initially, shot back up, and then it's, so like I said before, the gaps a lot of times will recover, gap recovered, and then trend back down. And I expect that the trend will continue. It may range a little bit, but I do feel like it will gradually continue downward. And then once that cash rate comes out, that it will fall a lot further. And my anticipation is 100 to 150 pips. So it's not going to be huge unless the cash rate is lowered to 1.5%. Then I expect another 200 to 300 pips on that push down. And I feel like I feel a lot more confident with this decision of making maybe a larger manual position trade on this new statement when compared to the speech that the trade that I made during Theresa May's speech. I feel like this is a much surer deal, although we always know that things can go against us, and I could come out with a losing trade. But I do have a plan in place, and that is an initial take profit of about 100 pips and a stop loss of 25 to 50 pips. Now, it's possible that if the rate stays the same, that we'll see a push up, a small push up, and then a larger push down. That sometimes happens when rates stay the same, but people are going to be looking at the statement. They're going to be looking at the rate statement to see if they can get signs or hints into what the rates will continue to look like in the future. Will they stay the same? Is there more potential for a lowering? All that kind of stuff. So the language in that will be very important. And I feel like that language will be saying that, yes, the economy is weakening. We're going to keep the rate at 175, and if needed, then we'll lower it to 1.5%. But I do not see at this point a potential raising to the 2% rate area. But this is a prediction. This is my assessment of a news event, and I'm going to have a stop loss. I'm going to have a take profit in place. Is it emotional trading? I don't think so, because I am not making something out of nothing here. And I usually know that. And I am looking back at the Theresa May speech. I know that was more of an emotional type of trade because I didn't really know or have an assessment of it, and it kept changing. So far, this has not changed on me, and this has been the same since Sunday. If it does change, and I do make a 180 and want to, instead of selling the NU and New Zealand dollar versus US dollar, then I may not take the position because then I'm flip-flopping. I'm going back and forth on my assessment of it, and that is not a sure thing. So that is where I'm going right now, and I plan on Wednesday filming this whole thing. Filming right before I take the trade, filming right after, during the event, how long the profit's going for, where I'll take profit, where I'll do the stop loss, and showing you guys how I do this whole news event. And I think that might be interesting for you guys to see. The pre-assessment of it, how I am actively working the trade once it's in, and then what happens with the news after. So you're going to be able to see my emotional state. You're going to be able to see the decisions that I make, whether it's to take the trade or not to take the trade, and just my outcome of it. So this is what I think I want to do on Wednesday for you guys, and I'll keep you posted if anything changes if I do a video update tomorrow. So I'm sorry for the throat clearing. I'm trying to be easy on it, but I guess my talking's starting to get a little raspy because I did a 40-minute video before this one that I didn't really like very much because I was being somewhat redundant about my previous video. So I wanted to make a shorter video and get a little bit more precise to the details without rambling too much. All right, so I don't see any trades in, or I don't see any opportunities yet for my trading accounts. No expert advisor trades. And if you guys were wondering about, I did have some questions, so I want to answer some questions that happened that came in. I apologize to a lot of the guys that have written me personal messages. Quite a few of you have written me personal messages, and they're very extensive. It's difficult for me to find the time to respond to a lot of these messages. So I apologize for that. But keep in mind that I do have a chance to read most of them. But my responses may be short if I do reply. And so I feel really bad about that. Somebody wrote me saying that they're not sure if a couple videos ago I mentioned about taking profit amongst all three of my pairs as a whole instead of working each pair individually. And they weren't sure if they didn't see the benefit of trading like that because it hadn't been tested. And I hadn't been testing in my trading. And so why start something new if you don't know what the outcome's going to be? Now, this loss was caused by mainly because the pound CAD itself, solely just the pound Canadian dollar. But if you look at my stats from May, so from May, I've implemented that technique. So using the three pairs and having a set take profit in dollar amount amongst all three pairs. So when all three pairs reach a certain, whether it's one pair that reaches $200 profit, or if it's three pairs that have multiple trades in that also reach $200 profit, it's the same difference. I don't even care. I don't care if its signal was taken a couple of minutes before I reached that goal of $200. That signal is now voided, and I move on to the next one. That's just how I play it. I've seen the potential for this technique to be a lot safer, and the reason why is because I've only had a 3.5% drawdown up until this last big loss that I had. And so that's why I'm actually implementing the 6% cutoff to make so it makes more sense with my actual strategy itself, because drawdown has been low in the last 5 months using this technique. All right, so I think that's it for today. I'm trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to answer in regards to the comments. A lot of great comments from everybody, and a lot of kind ones trying to encourage me to continue with the videos and trading. So thank you so much for that. It's been very helpful, and especially for a lot of you traders that have been watching silently, have now finally spoke out. So it means a lot. So I may come out with an update tomorrow on Tuesday. I don't know. We'll see if I take any more positions. But Wednesday is going to be the big day. It's either going to be a big day because I'm taking a position, or it won't be a big day at all. I may not just take the trade if I feel like my decision is wavering. I don't want this to become an emotional trade, and if I'm not sure about something, then it's important for me to back out. Learning from my previous mistake with the Theresa May speech. Now, some of you may think that this is an emotional trade that I'll be taking with the cash rate, and I'd like to say, from my personal assessment of my personality and myself, I don't think that this is an emotional trade. Yes, it's being taken very soon after the Theresa May speech, which I do consider an emotional trade. Where this one is different is the process of the assessment on it, and how the plan evolves. I didn't have a plan on stop loss on Theresa May's speech. I didn't have a plan on take profit. So I already have a plan set in place for this trade. It may change. If it changes too much, then I might back out. But I'd like to show you guys how that whole process works on Wednesday. So expect a video from me at about 5 or so, 5 p.m. So since the cash rate's at 4 p.m., expect the video to be released probably around 5. It depends on how long I'm in that trade, because I may want to make that a longer video if the trade is taking a while to either take profit or hit my stop loss. But yeah, expect something around 5 or 6 p.m. on Wednesday for sure. And it may be a pretty fun video. You guys watching me either losing or hopefully winning. So we'll see how that turns out. Anyways, thanks again for the support and watching my videos, and for all the likes on my past video as well. It means a lot. With 423 views since September 22nd, and 20 likes and just 2 dislikes, and a lot of comments as well. So it's been great to see that, and it does inspire me to try to continue to share what I'm doing. Because I know a lot of you guys are saying, well, like I think there was a question saying or asking, why do you do this? What's the reason that you share your videos and your strategies with people? I don't know. Maybe it's because the trading world is kind of lonely in a way, that you want to talk to other like-minded people. I know, like, I live in an apartment in Maryland. I don't know of any traders that really live in my area, and so it's nice to talk about trading strategy and to share this kind of stuff. I am trading a decent amount of money, but that's not really the point here. It's about sharing the emotional state, the lifestyle of a trader that is trying to make it as an independent. And that process is never really captured from people. I find that successful traders usually go quiet. or they work for a big firm. I don't know, but I wanted to make this video series more personal and get the community involved, and hopefully share some good ideas with traders of things that they have never heard before. Strategies and techniques that are not typically practiced in trading. And because a lot of traders, successful traders, hold them to themselves, or they just don't think that trading profitably with these techniques is possible. And yes, I did have a big loss on Friday. But you see where my frame of mind is now. I've had a weekend to think about things, and hopefully I'm back on my feet. Now, I don't think that this is going to be the last time I'm faced with large emotions. It could very well happen on Wednesday with the cash rate comes out with the New Zealand dollar. I'll have to see, and you'll be able to. I'll show you what my mental state is, and you can gather if I'm in the right mind or if I'm not. But these are the kind of things that I think are helpful for traders to see, because then it allows them to think and assess themselves and their personalities. Because a lot of times it's hard to actually see those things happening in yourself, because it's very tricky to view ourselves from a third-party perspective. I try to do that a lot to keep myself away from emotional trading, and sometimes it's easier said than done. And so let's see what happens on Wednesday, and I'll follow up with you guys in the next day or two. Thanks for watching. See you next time.